daily habits and disciplines that help me climb out of the dark place is being outside. As silly and cliche as that sounds, we can get so consumed with the stuff we see on our phones, on the TV. And when you go outside and you let the sunlight hit you, it hits different, especially if you're in a dark place, if you're in a spot where you feel like you can't get out of. Half of the battle is going outside. Because when you stay inside for too long, that's where the demons start to form. That's when the lights turn off. That's when the dark place starts to set in. And the things and the habits, the disciplines that I do is just getting outside. Whether that be leaving my house to go to jiu-jitsu, whether that be riding a bike, whatever it is, that whole aspect of biking it out can also mean getting out of the house. You ever notice how every road, no matter how long, eventually it disappears into the horizon? You can only see so far ahead. The rest, you just have to trust is there. This is what this part of my life feels like. The road ahead. Unknown, unfinished, but moving. If the hardest ride was about the climb, and Depression Den was about the weight you carry when you climb, then the road ahead is going to be what comes after. It's about that moment you stop looking back and you realize that the road's still going. You're still going. There's this weird silence after you finish something big, whether it be a chapter, a loss, or a version of yourself. You expect celebration, but sometimes it's just quiet. And in that quiet, you start to ask yourself, okay, what now? That's where I've been. Between endings and beginnings. Between exhaustion and excitement. Between who I was and who I might be next. Every mile I've ridden, every story I've told here, it's all taught me something. That progress doesn't always look cinematic. Sometimes it's just showing up when you don't feel like it. Sometimes it's choosing to keep pedaling through the rain you didn't plan for. And sometimes it's about giving yourself grace when you need to pull over and breathe. I think the road ahead isn't just about speed. It's about endurance. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to get lost. I'm going to miss turns. I'm going to forget water and probably crash once or twice. But that's the fun part. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the road ahead isn't meant to be perfect. It's just meant to be yours. I used to think healing meant finding a final destination. Like one day I would wake up and everything would make sense. When I walked to my current job at the time, I'd look up at the 19th floor and think, man, it'd be cool to be there. And now that I'm here, I don't think that's it. I think that healing is learning to carry what you've been through and making it lighter. Not to let it steer you, but to let it guide you. Let it be a lighthouse. And maybe that's what the road ahead really means. Not escaping the past, but honoring it and still choosing forward motion. Because there's a lot of road left, so many people to meet, so many climbs and descents, and stretches where the sun hits just right. And yeah, some days I'll ride fast, and other days I'll just coast. But either way, I'm still moving. And if you're still here, and you've made it through your hardest ride, then maybe it's time you start pedaling again too. I don't know exactly where the road leads, but I'm not done yet. And if the last few miles have taught me anything, it's that the journey's always going to be worth it. And you want to know what? I go back to that saying I started. When all this first started. Thing I told you I'd say many times. And here I say it once more. When in doubt, bike it out. The one thing I regret doing in my 20s, for sure, without a doubt, is letting my body kind of go, so to speak. I didn't find jiu-jitsu until much, much later on in life. And I regret the fact that I didn't take my physical health a lot more seriously. In my 20s, that's like the prime of your life. That's when physically you're at your peak. And I wish that through that time, I paid closer attention to my intake, what I was putting in my body, drugs, alcohol, all that shit. I didn't need it. So the one thing I regret in my 20s, it's letting my body kind of go. The things that I outgrew when I was in my 20s was being a self-destructive person. And that self-destruction came in many different habits. It was telling myself that I wasn't good enough. It was going to work just for the purpose of knowing I'm going to get home and smoke pot and get obliterated to the point that I wouldn't even remember what I did. Countless hours of playing mindless games and wasting thousands and thousands of hours on different video game franchises and thousands of dollars on different video game franchises. I'm not saying not to play video games. I'm not saying you can't enjoy yourself. But I would have to say the most self-destructive thing I did in my 20s was not use my time wisely. But that's why the theme of my 30s is it's never too late. Because you can always make a conscious decision and a conscious effort today to make better choices. The bike for me was always a way to find clarity. It was always something whenever I felt like I had no clarity or I didn't know what I was doing, I would go to my bike to find the clarity. The bike's helped me through the pandemic. The bike helped me through weight loss. The bike has helped me through a lot of mental health struggles. So that whole idea of when in doubt, bike it out, it reigns true to this day.